Hey, what's up? It's Mark from MR3 Media, and this is Doing Business with Mark Randall III. That is me. Hey, how's it going? So, if I look a little haggard, if you're watching this on the video, it's because I'm out here, man. I've been up since early morning time, taking care of the kid, and now I'm out here trying to grind out some content, let you know how it goes. So this is the first full episode. I know that there was a really, really rough trailer. If you listened to that trailer and you came back through, you're the true MVP. I really appreciate you, because that trailer was rough. But it was one of those things where I just wanted to pull the trigger and get started creating some content. So with this show, I want to focus on the journey of starting your business in this not in this new digital age, but in a very much post-pandemic digital age, and how it's going for me. I'm not a spring chicken any longer. I got a couple grays in the beard. I'm getting a little long in the tooth, as some people would like to say. And I'm a father. Me and my wife recently just had our baby boy. He is a year and some change, and everything has changed. The game is anew. My eyes have been opened to the powers of trying to feed your kid. And with that power comes a renewed vigor for my passion, which is social media. Well, not necessarily social media, but definitely digital marketing and videography. So I created my company, MR3 Media. On today's episode, I want to talk about things to do before quitting your day job. I read in an article rather recently that more and more millennials are going to be quitting their day job because of COVID and how that all played out. And I just kind of feel like there's a romanticizing of being an entrepreneur, and, we can do another video on the real side of entrepreneurship. But that's not going to stop people from quitting their jobs, because working a corporate job sucks. You may get paid well, but if you don't feel like you're a part of the company, or if you're in a spot where it's a toxic environment and you could be cut off at any second, maybe you've been at your job for a long time and you've hit the ceiling. There's nowhere else you can go, which was kind of the case with me, where I wanted to get to that next level in my career, but I was always kind of stuck as an shooter editor. And I had so much more to offer. You might want to transition. So in this article, they were just saying that so many millennial employees are not going to go back to work, and they are going to start their own businesses. And I think it is a great idea and an awful idea, depending on who you are and what you're trying to do. But before we get into this, as we do with all podcasts, make sure you hydrate. All right, let's do it. So, got my trusty notebook. Here we go. So, here are some things you should seriously think about before quitting your job and becoming an entrepreneur. So, the first thing you should seriously want to think about is your systems. And when we say systems, I think that sounds like a loaded word, but how are you going to bring in leads to your business? How are you going to bring in sales? How are you going to get your clients through your pipeline? Systems is such a fundamental basis of owning a business and being an entrepreneur that it often gets overlooked. It's kind of like, how is your body going to pump blood? You don't really think about it. You just know that it does it, and you don't really have to worry too much about it. But when you really start focusing in on those systems, it makes being an entrepreneur not only so much easier, but it can take away a little bit of that chaos that is, is it feast or famine, amongst me and my business. So when you want to create those systems, you want to, the way that I've been doing it, I wouldn't recommend it for everyone, because the way I transitioned into my entrepreneurship, it was partially planned and partially early. We had a plan, and like all plans that are created, it didn't work out the way we wanted it to, and we ended up transitioning, I would say maybe 5 or 6 months earlier than I had originally planned to. So all of my systems weren't in place. The foundations were there, but the structure wasn't there, and it wasn't fine-tuned. If you can get your systems for your business fine-tuned and operating at a very strong capacity before you quit your day job, you're going to see that transitioning into an entrepreneurial lifestyle is going to be significantly easier. So when I'm talking systems, earlier I said lead generation. I'm talking about how are you going to account for your money? How are you going to spend your work days? When you no longer have to hit the clock from a 9 to 5, what does your day look like? And most importantly is the lead gen. How are you going to bring in a steady flow of customers? Rather, if you're selling digital marketing services, NFTs, yoga pants, whatever it is, you need a steady flow of customers to come into your pipeline to give you business. As my mentor said, if your business is closed until you get new business. And that's kind of how you want to operate your mentality. If you have no leads in your pipeline, you are out of business because you have no business. All right. So number 2 on this one, I want to go with lowering your overhead. If you can get your overhead any lower, do it. Do whatever you can to lower your overhead. If you have to work your job an additional year just to save up a little bit of extra money in the bank, I would do it. If you can get rid of some credit cards or some outstanding debts, I would definitely do it. What some people don't know, and I think it's super crucial, is when you're an entrepreneur and you're a solo entrepreneur and you start an LLC, and we'll do a whole video on LLCs eventually. You're pretty much a sole proprietor. They're very, very common when it's just one person owning and operating the business. And surprisingly, your personal credit will affect your business credit because your business has no credit. So if you are one of these people who are just like, you're just going to go balls to the wall, put it on credit cards, and then just hope for the best, while that might work for some, for other people, it can definitely be to your detriment, especially if you don't already have good credit. Because then it's just like you don't have good credit and you're trying to build credit with a business that has no credit. So yeah, if you want to get your finances in check and you want to get your overhead low as possible. Luckily for me, I was able to get my overhead extremely low. I am married, so I have a partner who can help carry a lot of the I guess day-to-day bills in the household. Not to say that I'm not contributing my part in any way, but I'm just not. I like to tell her, we are not growing at the moment, but we're not shrinking. We are currently coasting as I put a lot of money and time and energy and resources into building this business up. But more importantly, I do have an abundance of time that I am able to, watch my beautiful little boy. So yes. Your overhead. Whatever you can get rid of it. Whatever you can pay off. You want to make sure that when you go into being an entrepreneur and your passion and your business is the only thing that's paying your bills, you want to get those bills as low as possible. Okay, so next I want to talk to you about shifting your hourly mindset. This is extremely difficult for me. Even as I record this, I just got done from having a conversation with my wife where I was offered an opportunity to make some steady side income. And it was hard to not acknowledge it as something I really wanted to do because it would bring in steady income, but it was more hourly based income. I was trading more of my time for money, which meant it looked like a 9 to 5 in disguise. It was like a wolf in sheep's clothing, if you will. And as I was thinking about this and just handling the shift from hourly to survivally, I guess you can say. I don't know if you guys heard that, but my kid just suplexed, most likely was an Android tablet, through the floor. That making that transition was extremely difficult for me because we have been conditioned to trade our time for money. So even when we're in school, the school hour reflects the work shift. and we transition out of school into a work environment, and that's where you are. And some of the more difficult moments I've had when quitting my job and pursuing my company full time is what does my work day look like? Like, how am I able, is it still 9 to 5? Is it like 4 to 12? When am I on? When am I off? Am I always on? And I think that's also leads to a rise in hustle culture where you can't turn it off, and it's a detriment to your health and to your sanity. So being able to address your hourly mentality and being able to create basically a work schedule for yourself that works for you, your goals, your business, and everything else you have going on in your life, you will see that as an entrepreneur that will greatly help you. You don't need to be a 9 to 5, but I do recommend setting some type of hours. If not, your job will take over your life and it will feel like you have a 9 to 5, and it defeats the whole purpose of what we're trying to do by being entrepreneurs, embodying our dreams and chasing them. Which leads me to my final talking piece on this subject here, which is be honest with yourself. Like, seriously, be honest with yourself. Before you ever quit your job and go into the realm of entrepreneurship, you need to take a really hard look in the mirror and understand, like, can you blaze your own trail? Like, seriously think about like all the roads that are driven in life. Someone had to clear those trees, plow that grass, and lay down that pavement. Can you be that person to go in uncharted territory and blaze your own trails? It sounds way easier than it is. And you have to be really, really honest with yourself. Being an entrepreneur can be an extremely lonely position. A lot of people are not going to understand what you're doing or how you're going. And if you are looking at social media and other platforms, you're looking at other entrepreneurs who look like they're glowing up and they're blowing up. But honestly, you don't know what their life is like when they turn those systems off. So you can't look at everyone around you and compare your life to them. You have to live your life for yourself. You have to be very, very honest with yourself. Can you talk to people? Do you understand how your business works? Who is your business's audience? Who are you selling to? What are your prices? How much is your overhead? How much do you need to break even? How much do you need to make a profit? What is a good month? What is a bad month? What are your goals? If you can't answer a handful of these questions or all of these questions, you may seriously want to reconsider if you want to quit your 9 to 5 to be an entrepreneur. Because one of the things that you will learn extremely quickly is there is no money coming in. If you're not out there working, if you're not out there making connections, if there is no money coming in, you're not getting paid on the 1st or the 15th for every 2 weeks. If you're not out there getting it. And most importantly, you have to do taxes. Can you handle your taxes? The money you get in is not all of your money. The government is coming for you, and you need to be aware of that and be able to handle it. So that is something you're going to want to think about. Make sure you're extremely honest with yourself before you go into the realm of entrepreneurship. Okay, so yeah, I kind of feel like this is a good spot to end this particular podcast episode. Yeah, I kind of don't want these to be too long. I'm going to just, keep on developing these out and fleshing them out. I don't want them to be stream of consciousness. Like, I want to have actual things that I'm giving you, experiences that I have. But in the meantime, just work with me on this. I'm doing the best I can, I honestly believe that that I have a lot to offer, and if you don't mind getting through a couple of rough episodes, you too will believe that I got the juice. Like, I'm like a young Bishop, just chubbier with dreadlocks. Anyone who is familiar with 90s black cinema will know that reference. So yep, tune in again next week. I haven't officially picked the days of when these were releasing, so the day you hear this, just expect to hear one every day on that day, or you can check in the feed and see like when it was dropped. It's probably going to be a Wednesday or Thursday. I plan on doing my media day. Yeah, so that does it for me for this episode of Doing Business with Mark Randall III. I am out here getting it. as of now, I have a couple wins. You know, maybe I should do a win count. You know, I don't know. That'd be kind of weird or a little pretentious. But at this stage, anytime I close a deal, you know, I do like a little jig, as you heard within that trailer for the first episode of this podcast. All right. Yeah. So I'm Mark from MR3 Media. And till next week, stay safe.